Harlem Eubank is jumping up from 140 to 147, is going from super lightweight, junior welterweight to the welterweight division. He's having his first fight at that division today, Friday the 22nd of November in Newcastle. And he is making a beeline to fight Coner Benn. He's saying, Conor, stop trying to fight my big cousin, right? Because he's not even in your weight class. He's up there middleweight, super middleweight. You're down here at welterweight, and I'm at your weight class now. If you want to make a fight with a Eubank, fight me. Because if you fight Chris, it's going to be a public execution. Harlem Eubank, cousin of Chris Eubank. His dad was the brother of Chris Eubank's senior. He tragically passed away after what is reported to be a gut-wrenching battle with dementia that he couldn't win, basically. And since then, Chris Senior has been trying to guide Harlem Eubanks' career. He signed with Wasserman. He's had a decent career so far up until now, building up himself to become a contender at any division he's at. He's gone from 140, he's up now at 147. He's about to have a fight with Nurali Ergodan. I don't know much about Nurali Ergodan. I don't know anything about Nurali Ergodan because he's just not on my radar. I don't know who he's beat and I don't know who he's lost to. That's how he is. And if you're a welterweight and I don't know who you beat and I don't know who you've lost to, then you are not really on any radar per se, because I'm very much a student of these weight classes, if you get what I'm saying, especially in these modern times. I kind of delve deep into these weight classes to see who's there and who's up and coming. So you're fighting this guy called Nurali Ergodan. I'm thinking it's a bring-along fight. I'm assuming that you're going to deal with him. He's never been knocked out. He's only lost 3 fights out of 19, but he's only ever knocked out one person. His KO ratio is 6.25%. He's just not knocking out, man. Okay? So therefore, I can see that this is not going to be any threat to your chin and trying to take you out of there. Harlem Eubank is promoted by Wasserman. And Wasserman, Nissi and Kali Sauland, they seem to have a very big investment into the Eubanks family because they've managed and promoted Chris Jr. for a while. And now Harlem's over there with them. He's gone on the limb to call out Conor Benn profusely. He's very much on Conor Benn's case. And it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me for you to be on Conor Benn's case because Conor Benn hasn't done anything in boxing at all to say he's any top contender for anything. Conor Benn has only beaten guys that were basically once were and now they are has-beens, such as Chris Van Heerden, Chris Algieri, Adrian Granados. And Adrian Granados was never once there. He was always somewhat of a fringe world-class performer. You've got Samuel Vargas, who's a has-been. And all these kind of guys were people that we thought that were past their best. I even think Chris Algieri came out of retirement to fight Conor. But because he got the Benn name behind him and because he's backed by Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, they know that they're going to get paid if they fight him. Adrian Granados, he got paid. Vargas got paid. All these guys got paid when they fought him. At the moment, we know that Conor Benn got banned for performance-enhancing drugs that he claimed that he never took, and it was because he ate so much eggs, and he claims that's not the case either. But, you know, he got banned. And they tried to lift the ban, but then the ban got reinstated, and then they tried to lift the ban again, and then it's like there's some sort of UCAD are kind of appealing against the ban, something like that. I don't really know too much because I don't really look into it like that. I don't care enough. Do you understand? I don't care enough about these guys getting found for taking drugs and then claiming that they haven't taken drugs and all of that. I don't care enough most of the time. With the Ryan Garcia situation, it was because he had that fight with Devin Haney, and these were fighters that I was following closely. So that's why I kind of delved deeper into the Ryan Garcia situation. But Conor Benn, like, who cares? Like, Conor Benn isn't good in my opinion. In my opinion, he's not good, so I don't follow him. He's living off his dad's name, as is Chris Eubanks Jr. Chris Eubanks Jr., I believe, is better than Conor Benn, but I don't even think Chris Eubanks Jr. is any good per se, really, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion, and my opinion is as good as anyone else's at any given time. So that's how I feel about Conor and Chris. And they were going to fight, and I thought it was a farce. I thought it was a joke, because I'm just saying to myself, Conor, you're so small. You're like a lightweight slash welterweight. And Chris is basically a middleweight and a super middleweight, and you're telling him you want to fight him, but you're telling him that he has to come down to a weight to come and meet you at some weight. No, bro. If you want to fight someone who's in a weight class or two above you, you go to their weight class and fight them. If you're calling him out, because you called out Chris Eubanks, Conor. You called him out. So therefore, you should go to his weight class and go and fight him there. But no, you're saying that it has to be at a catch weight and all of this rubbish. I don't even know why Chris Eubanks Jr. even gave you the time of day. But because he doesn't have anything going on for himself in boxing right now, and plus you don't have anything going for yourself in boxing right now, you lot were trying to cash out on your father's names because your dads had the great rivalry back in the 90s and stuff like that. You lot want to jump onto that bandwagon, right? Conor himself particularly, because I never heard Chris call you out once ever. He accepted the challenge, but he never once called you out. So for me, that was always some sort of, you know what, we're not really that good, so we need to cash out, so let's fight each other and cash out that way. But Harlem, he's on your case hardcore. Harlem is on your case and he wants the fire with you. I've been hearing him call you out for the longest time. And now he's making it even more so by coming to your weight class and calling you out. So he had an interview. And even though it's with the Daily Star, I don't really usually follow the Daily Star per se. But they interviewed Harlem Eubank. And the title of the interview says, Conor Benn warned of public execution if he fights Chris Eubanks Jr. Face me instead. Conor Benn and Chris Eubanks Jr. are on a collision course for a blockbuster showdown that would reignite the rivalry between their fathers, but another member of the Eubank family wants his say. Harlem Eubank has told Conor Benn he's heading for a public execution if he fights his cousin Chris. Instead, the Brighton boxer believes the Benn and Eubank rivalry should be reignited by himself and Conor. Eubank, 31, is moving up to welterweight for his clash with Nurali Ergodan on Friday night in Newcastle. He believes Benn should be coming back to the 10 stone 7 division instead of moving up to middleweight to take on his cousin Chris. Benn still remains without a British Boxing Board of Control license, while UKAD ponder an appeal to his doping charge being dismissed. But it's clear wheels are in motion to try to make the clash with Chris Eubanks Jr. for next year should he get cleared of using clomiphene. However, Harlem said the fight with Chris might be a fun fight to watch for a round or so, but it is a public execution. In terms of reality, Chris will wipe the floor with him. It's a bit of entertainment for the public, but the real fight is at 147. And deep down, he knows that, and he doesn't want the challenge. It is the fight that makes sense. Eubank is moving up a division, but his ambition remains the same. He's been frustrated after a fight with Adam Azim at light welterweight collapsed and left him out of the ring for a year. It was unnecessary antics and boxing politics, he said. I'm in the game to get in there and fight. I was ready to kick on and had a lot of options on the table. It has been a frustrating time when it didn't need to be. But now he's up at welterweight. Eubank insists he can win world honours as he continues to carry the family name. Having the name gives you the added pressure, but it gives you the drive to continue to shine a light on it the right way, he said. Having the legacy inspires us to go in there to perform. But he is motivated to win a world title in memory of his father, former fighter Simon, who died in 2023 after a dementia battle, and cousin Sebastian, who tragically passed in 2021 when he drowned just shy of his 30th birthday. It's something that is giving me more drive each and every day, said Eubank. Having them watching over me, they were both always behind me and pushing me forward on that path, and I know they will be looking down on me watching. To achieve that world title dream would be special. So Harlem Eubanks versus Nurali Ergodan is live on Channel 5 Friday, tonight, the 22nd of November. Live on Channel 5. Have a watch of that if you can, if you're in the UK. But is he the one that should be fighting Conor? I believe so. They're at the same weight class. They're basically at the same kind of level. But Conor thinks that he's some world-class, world-challenging type guy at the moment, and you're just not, Conor Benn. You're not. You've had a whole heap of filler fights. You've had a whole heap of fights with has-beens, and you've even had fights with man that beat you and it got overturned and people got robbed fighting you. There's a guy that fought you, I can't remember his name, but he was from France, and he beat you twice. He fought you twice and he beat you twice, but they both times gave the fight to you. So you've definitely been carried, and you should fight Harlem Eubank, but you won't. You won't, because you're just a joke, my guy. I think Conor Benn, the whole Conor Benn thing is a joke, my guy. I think it's a joke. I don't rate him to be any type of level of boxer. He hasn't shown me anything in there that makes me think that he's got any type of level. He's just a slugger. He's just on a slugfest. He wants to be like his dad so bad, and he does a poor impression of it, in my opinion. Because his dad was the Dark Destroyer. Yeah? I don't care what no one says about Nigel Benn. When Nigel Benn came out of the army and started boxing, he wasn't a great boxer, but do you know something? This guy had heart, he had determination, and he had heavy shots. And he was knocking out, man, bigger than him. World champions, he was knocking them out. He didn't become WBC champion by anything other than his sheer force and will and determination to win. That guy was a beast of a winner. His son, not so much. His son just wants to be like him, and that's a good thing, I suppose, but you don't have your dad's attributes. You're not a street kid type, per se. You're just not. And that's how your dad kind of made his claim. He was a rough and tough character that went to the army and served his time in the army and boxed in the army and came out and said, right, I'm going to go and be a boxer in real life and nobody ain't going to stop me because I'm tough as nails. And he was, right? But when he came up against class, like Chris Eubanks, he lost. But he didn't lose without a game and gallant fight, and he had the rematch and they drew the rematch. But Chris Eubanks was better than Nigel Benn, but Nigel Benn had more heart and more determination than most boxers. I wouldn't say he had it more than Chris, because Chris was a very determined guy himself. That rivalry was so just made perfect for boxing. It was just brilliant. It was a fun, fantastic rivalry. This is manufactured. Just because you lot are the sons of the dads, it doesn't mean that you lot should have a rivalry. You're not in the same weight class. I don't know why Conor's chasing down Chris. The only reason I think that Conor's chasing Chris is because Conor hasn't got a path to a championship at his weight class. He just hasn't got a path to any type of title at his weight class. If he fought any of the up-and-coming fighters right now at welterweight, they all beat him. There's nobody out there that's up-and-coming that is basically on the fringe world level that Conor can beat. There's none. That's why he's not fighting any of them. That's why you're not hearing about him fighting in them. You might hear him call out people and say, I want to fight this guy, that guy. He's never going to fight any of them because he's just not good enough. Take it from me, he ain't good enough to be anybody, yeah, in the welterweight upper echelon, or the light welterweight upper echelons, or the super lightweight, or the super welterweight, or the middleweight. He just hasn't got it. He's just not ready for anybody. He's not going to ever be good enough to win a title anywhere. So this is his cash out. Fight Chris, make it a big spectacle in the UK. Everybody's going to want to watch it. You're going to get a big payday, and then you can just retire. That's what I believe. I don't believe that's what he's going to do. I don't think he's going to retire per se, but you're going to get a big purse from this fight with Chris if it happens. And we don't know what's going on with this drug case. As I said to you, the UK don't ramp when it comes to banning, man. This has been going on for 2, maybe 3 years now, and he hasn't had a proper fight anyway. Because UCAD do not ramp. Even though they got their results from a doping agency that they don't use, BBBOC used UCAD, and UCAD said he was clear of any PEDs in his system. They're still saying, well, we don't like it, and you're banned. Yeah, they banned him. And they haven't lifted the ban for over how many years? But anyway, Harlem Eubank's going to fight against this guy, Nurali Ergodan, in his debut at welterweight. Let's see how that fight goes. I'll see you guys in the next video.